Yep. Let's go to my 5-weight. It is the Washington Commanders laying 5.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Similar handicap to the Texans with the bounce back spot here for the Commanders after losing that game last week. So I looked this up. It's the 15th time ever in our database's history where we have a team that's coming off of a win as a 7 or more point dog versus a team coming off a loss as a 7 or more point favorite. Now the ATS is it's split. It's 7-7. It's not gonna you're not gonna do anything there. But this is what's interesting. If the line in the game is more than a field goal, the team that is coming off of the upset loss, so this would be the Commanders, 6-1 straight up, winning the games by 14 points per game. Only 3 and 4 ATS because the average line in those games is 9.2. But so this is a 5.5.
So let's think about this a second. This is fascinating if you really think about it. Because my thinking was, wait a minute, there was a team that was just a big favorite and then a team that was just a big underdog. Don't we know who's favored in the next game? Isn't it clear that, the big favorite in the prior game is going to be favored against a team that was a big underdog? Mm-hmm. Though in theory, the favorite could have been playing the worst team in the league.
Yep.
And I guess let's think how convoluted that would be. Then in the other situation, well, no, how would that go? The big favorite would have I don't think it could make sense, right? Because
it couldn't. No.
Yeah. So Scott's point, which is, hey, usually this team in this spot is a huge favorite. They're not here.
Yep.
Thus, I'm not sure I agree, but I do think it's not as convoluted as it sounds.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like I said, the average line is 9.2. This is down to 5.5. Since 2012, if you're coming off of a loss as a double-digit favorite, like the Commanders were, you're 26, 17, and 1 ATS. In the following game, if you're favored by more than a field goal, 16 and 7 ATS with a 5-point margin.
Yeah. So the only question we got to ask ourselves is Washington fundamentally a different team than we thought they were? And the Dallas game is the nail in the coffin on the prior perception of them. Because it may turn out that the worst team we've ever seen in memory, so maybe not ever, but the worst team in 5 years that's ever been laying double digits might be this Washington team. Think about it. How often are teams laying double digits that aren't clearly playoff teams? And I'm saying right now, Washington isn't a clear playoff team, are they?
I think the clear difference that we saw last week was because people were going to point to Jaden Daniels and his performance ever since he got the ribs banged up.
Yeah.
But last week he ran for 74 yards. And
still lost.
Still lost. But I thought that was a positive sign to show like he's healthy, or at least considers himself healthy enough to be running the football. So if you're looking at it from that perspective.
But doesn't that discourage you more? Because if they would have lost with him hobbled, you would think maybe he's gotten better in the next week.
Yeah, I guess you can say that.
The fascinating thing is the much maligned Washington defense has improved throughout the year, but the offense keeps getting worse.
And we can't forget this. Kingsbury, OC in the second half of years. Now I thought, oh no, they're going to disprove that this year because people talked about it 3 weeks ago. Hey, maybe now they start to slow down. Well, Lordy B, right? It's happened.
No doubt.
Good early, bad late. You're saying for Kingsbury's.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, and the sad thing about that, when you're good early, it means you're expensive late, so it's even harder to win.
And if you look at this just from like a basic statistics, the reason the Titans are so bad is that they keep making real high volatile bad turnovers and terrible special teams. Just from a line of scrimmage yards per play, these are two equal teams.
All right, so that segues into my pick on this game, which is, I'm just getting my ratings lined up here, is over in this baby. What do I got? This is a 2, guys?
Yep, 2-8 on the over, 44.5.
I thought so. All right. See, I can even predict what I did. Well, that doesn't even seem like predictions. All right. So here's my rationale, and it's pretty much what Fez said. Well, one, there's a trend, and this is the first time I've ever had, or a system, I guess, and it's a 22-3 over system. And I don't say this often, but I can't even tell you because it's so not. It only happens about once a year, and 1.5 times a year, and 22-3 towards the over. It's I'll tell you, late season system. So obviously that's not me telling you why I like this game as much as telling you, I think you guys trust me, this is there, and that's one of the reasons. Beyond that, it's exactly what Fez said. I think that Tennessee, as I mentioned on the Monday taping, Levis is like the best over person ever. Because one, he might throw an 80-yard touchdown at any time. He slings it, and he got a good arm. And he might throw a pick six. In fact, he does throw a pick six most every game, or at least give up one big turnover that leads to points. So to me, and what's the best number you're going to give me on this one, Scott?
44.5.
Yeah.
Is
See,
there a
this
better
went
one
up a little bit, or I would have made it higher than a 2. Like, I think it was 43.5 early in the week. You know, obviously like it more there. 2 weight here. But, and I also, listen, I got pretty high on Washington right before they started losing. Right. So luckily I haven't got burnt too much by them. But I do think Daniels, I was thinking about it. We were talking about who would we pick in the draft on the Monday taping. And I just thought, you know what? We probably have reversed ourselves on Daniels a little too quick. So this is a little lingering respect for Washington's offense, and mostly about the trend, and mostly about the Titans being such a high variance, high point total team because of all the turnovers. And I would make one more point. Tennessee, and this is why I probably lean Washington a little bit, like, you know, Scott does here, is the idea of, I got a feeling Tennessee might be a little flat just because they've been going for this second win for so long, right? That it felt like that they've been in a must-win spot for pride for so long. Once you get that one win, maybe you take a little bit of a breath a holiday week. Faz, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I can go ahead and go along with that. I mean, I think so. I think across the board, I agree. I like the secret system, RJ.
Well, that's a good way to promote
Secret Santa.
But yeah, so and the reason I think that if they are a little down, Tennessee, that usually affects your defense more, and the defense has been mighty good. So there you go. You want to finish up, Scotty?
Yeah, just a question for Fez in your power rankings. Like, how far off do you have the Titans and the Cowboys? Because, I mean, if we're just looking at last week's line, like we're 5 points off. Are the Titans 5 points better than the Cowboys?
The Titans right now are 3.5 better than the Cowboys.
So value in this line then at 5.5.
Or the last line was crazily inflated.
Or the last line was crazy, yes.